Hello. Hello. On your bed. Go on. On your bed. It's okay. Want to settle? Settle. There she goes. You can see her, right? Is she there somewhere? A little lump. A little black lump in the background. Much needed serotonin. Yeah, honestly, it's been a bit of a weird week. Various reasons for stress, world news wise and stuff. So it's been good to have her around for sure. But hello everyone. It's good to see you all here, as always. This is an exciting week, right? We're hiring and stuff. I know some folks here in the chat have already applied, so appreciate that. It is safe to say that pretty much anyone who's ever been in this chat room, in this stream, who's watched one of these things, is gonna have a leg up. Obviously. I mean, obviously. Let's see, who's here? Bollinger! Chris, how you going? Brittany, yes, happy to fulfill the dog request. Happy to. She's quite tired. She's flopped in her toys again. Valentin, good to see you, pal. Selfish Ego, yo, Benny Maru. Sing Harleen Sing. First time chatter. Hello. Hope you have a good time. NJ Patrick, Stephen C. Shapiro, there they are. That's you. That's you right there. I saw that you tweeted that you had an updated reel, but it's Vimeo. The link was Vimeo, and this one's YouTube. So I have both open just in case one is actually not up to date or something, but we'll see. Muse Hive, yo, Amnesia Sound, eating intensifies. Yeah, it's slowed down now, but I had to put something in my gullet. Had to. Yes, the dog is very good. Snoopy, hey, appropriate. Presley, isn't she good? She's so adorable. She's very good. She saw a squirrel cross the sidewalk. Picture it like the trees and the front yards and the sidewalk in between. We're looking down the sidewalk. A squirrel crossed the sidewalk a block away, and she's freaking out. She saw it. I was like, yes, I saw it too. It's very far away. It's very small. Please calm down. She goes into like scream barking mode when she sees squirrels and cats. It's bizarre. Just instinct stuff, you know? So weird. Anyway, Vitor. How's beautiful New Westminster? You doing good? Brennan Clark. Hello, hello. Natasha. Hello. Dawn Laundry. Joey Goddard. Our very own Joey Goddard says, use your secret real talk knowledge and apply. You gotta. It is... I mean, we were joking internally, but like, are we just going to go over all the applications on stream? We are not. We are not going to do that. But the thing is, it is really, really obvious sometimes. I mean, Joey was saying on Slack, saying like, it's crazy how fast for some people you can tell that it's just not going to be a good fit. Like 10 seconds. Like I've been saying on stream forever. Like you have 10 seconds to make people want to hear or see more, you know? And it's not even a matter of like the team hours or otherwise being mean or inconsiderate for not looking longer. It's like this is how you craft things. Everyone has limited time, so you got to be really careful with that stuff. Craft it mindfully, you know? You gotta. Sam Do Sound. Hey Sam. That's Houselander, right? Is that your handle? I always forget who's. It's tough recalling like handles and real names. Houselander? I think it is. I think. If not, I apologize. Hello, different Sam. Equinox Fracture. I love seeing that handle in the chat every time. Coal Miner. Hey, what up? Your name's Kevin, right? I should know. It's Kevin Collier, I think. Is that your name? I should really know the Kevins at least, right? Dogs are good for reminding you to clock out too. Mine starts asking me to log off by 5 p.m. Yeah, like clock out and get up too. Be lying in bed and it's like nose in the face. Why are you still here? Come on, let's go. Tim the Wizard. The Wizard. You're here. Welcome, Tim. Glad to have you. Come on in. Cookies and Fudge. John Gap SFX. Yeah, all these long-time watchers who have sound design in the title, and you're like, bro, capital letters. Yeah, no one's getting cut for a lowercase d. Don't worry. We're definitely not being that purist and sanctimonious. It's okay. Let's see here. Okay, and Steve, I'm just making my way down the chat here. So you're saying same reel for both. Vimeo is cool because you can replace a video with the same URL. Oh, I see. I see. Okay, as opposed to YouTube being a new thing. Okay, well, I can close the Vimeo link then. Let's do that. JMC Morris. First time chatter? I know that handle. Who are you, JMC Morris? Is it Mick Morris? I know this person. Do I know you personally? I'm sure I know this person. Jason McMorris? Have we met? I think we've met. At some point. I don't know. Or just know you from streaming or something. I don't know. Whatever the case, welcome. How are you? Oh yeah, okay, Sandwich Sound, that is you. Cool. Shagans! Good luck to any applicants. Yes, cheers. Clocks out, dogs out. Hilarious. Yes, okay, of course. Alright. I knew Jay McMorris. I knew that much. But as your first time chatter, so I was like having a cognitive dissonance there, you know? Well, good to see you. And Ezekiel. Alright, Joy K as well. Matt Galt. So many good names here. What's up? Snoopy. Been a while since I've watched, but I can now add a +1 to the folks who've had the reel reviewed and later got into the industry. Amazing. Good stuff. Good on ya. I've had 2 different people hit me up in the last week to say the same thing. So yeah, it's great to hear. Always. I will never tire of that, hearing that folks are finding their roots. Or getting those roots in, you know? Excellent. You are listening to, by the way, of course, the sweet sounds of Terrence Lee and Janice Kwan. Lifeformed. This is really good. Real good. We were extremely privileged to work with them on Tunic. Holy, so good. A lot of good stuff in here. Alright, but we are here for Real Talk. Before we do, I want to be very clear. For all of you that might not be aware, I'm sure that pretty much everyone here is, probably, but Power Up Audio is hiring. Can I zoom in? How's our site handle zooming? I haven't checked this. This is QA live on stream. Yeah, we're hiring a contract sound designer. And the big thing here is video game industry experience is a plus, but it's not required. It is not very common, to my knowledge. And we're looking to effectively invest in someone who's up and coming, as opposed to saying, hey, you're already established, we'll take you. You know? That's our goal here. That's the idea. Jason, did you see the super sweet Bandcamp daily post? No! I didn't. I just searched Bandcamp Terrence Janice. Probably wasn't the best search. I don't know. Perhaps I will look after the stream and figure it out. But I'll have to check that. Damn. Thank you for the heads up. Leaving a tab open. Yeah, you can drop a link. You should be able to, I think. We're not too strict around here. Don't tell the bots. John, was the first time seeing that. Oh, the no industry experience required. Yeah, we're I mean, likely where we'll land is because I mean we still want someone who's been like doing the work, right? But if it's been the case where they're doing a lot of personal, you know, self-taught improvement or at, you know, some educational institution of some kind, whether it's online or in person or whatever, like anything like that, if they're obviously putting in the work and they have like a pretty good foundation built, like that's kind of what we're going for, right? As opposed to like someone from film who's like, I don't know, games sound cool. Like that's not quite the same no game industry experience that we're looking for, if that makes sense. It's probably reasonable to understand that though. Isla, what are you doing? Oh, lying on my feet instead. Okay. Changing spots. Valentin, is it actually worth to apply from EU? Wouldn't that be conflicting for you guys to work with someone out of your time zone? Yeah, because the thing is, we're that's right here actually. It says our team works remotely, but all within Vancouver, Canada. Remote work could be approved for the right candidate, but working within the team's core work hours would be preferable. That is 9:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. PST, Monday through Thursday, with optional Fridays. By the way, we have optional Fridays. Like it's an hourly contract gig, so I mean you could work Friday and get paid, or not work, and that's fine. You know, no big. We have a not Fridays off policy at Power Up, but it's like an optional thing. If you're busy and have things to do, then go for it, get your stuff done, feel better. But in general, we plan not to have Friday like booked with work, if that makes sense. Occasionally stuff happens, you have software difficulties, you have a meeting you forgot about, whatever, and you work like a half Friday or something. Yeah, it's a pretty free and easy kind of thing. There you go. That's dope, says Valentin. We literally call them dope Fridays. that's our internal terminology, Valentin. How did you know? You're a genius. Yeah, 4-day work week. Yeah, it's 4-day work week-ish. There you go. Send a bit. You can vouch for Val's Senzen chops. Yeah, I know what Val's Senzen chops sound like. I know you're very talented. There you go. So let me catch up a little bit here. Oh, and thank you for the link, Jason. Cheers. I'll put that in another tab here. The Sound of Tunic, a video game music love story. Oh, so cute. Oh, I did see this actually. Yeah, I totally saw this. I don't know why I didn't make the connection. It was Bandcamp. Of course it is. Yeah, I absolutely read this. This was linked in our Slack. But thank you for linking it. I'll leave it open. Coal miner. So Kevin asks, well, I'd love to know why you guys are looking for someone with a music theory background. Yeah, totally. So that's kind of the case for our entire team, actually. No one is... I don't think anyone on our team would call themselves a composer first and foremost. I think we've all written music on the whole. Yeah, totally. We've all written music in the past of some kind. I mean, Jeff took like music theory in post-secondary, and I went to McEwen for music composition. And of course, Cole on our team had just released an album last year, and Joey was like on that album and stuff. So Craig did the soundtrack for Streets of Rogue before joining our team. You know, we're all pretty musical, and the main thing with that, Kevin, is that even if we're not writing music for games, that background helps a lot in terms of speaking on things like tonalities and feel. And let's say we're doing like a match 3 game or something, and saying, oh, the things cascade down and have like a match. And we want to have like a increasing intensity and energy or whatever musically as more matches happen during that same cascade. And we could say, hey, this should be on a pentatonic scale or something. Being able to speak in that kind of terminology with the team is important to us. Being able to understand like what that means and having some level of aptitude for how to execute, you know, knowing that's kind of the framework is worthwhile. And it's even things like if you have the example I love to use is if you have a musical soundtrack being written by someone else, another composer, and you're on sound design, and the triumphant hero, you know, unsheathes the sword and holds it aloft, you know, triumphantly, then, I mean, there's going to be a shing, like some ringing tone, and that tone should be a mindful decision, like the pitch of that tone. And a good spot for it to land is probably like on the dominant, like the fifth above the perfect fifth above the root of whatever song's playing, or something. You know, just being able to have some aptitude for pitch and stuff is going to be absolutely valuable, totally. So yeah, I think that even if you are not looking to write music or perform music, say on trumpet or whatever instrument, piano, I think learning like how the piano's laid out, learning basic music theory in terms of like, you know, notes, different kinds of notes and rests and intervals, whatever, that can only help you as a sound designer, totally. And in fact, when I was in school for music composition, it was a 2-year program, and the first year it's generalist, everyone takes the same thing. But second year, you can go into different areas like music technology or composition or comprehensive or performance. But regardless of what you did, you had to take a piano proficiency course. You had to. And so all the drummers would be like, but why? You know? Because they're playing drums. But again, all this stuff, like understanding how to play things, it's almost like, well, I mean, in the case of drummers, it's like knowing how the rest of your band is operating. That's kind of the main thing. So it comes down to communication. And yeah, if you're like self-taught guitarist and you understand like deeply how to play guitar and different chord changes and so forth, that's also like amazing, of course. But it's funny because some guitarists I met in post-secondary, this years and years back, they were like incredible instrumentalists. Just blew my mind with how talented they were. But they couldn't locate like middle C on a piano. And so when it came down to talking about things like, you know, monophonic melodies and intervals and like understanding why things sound the way they do, so as to further inform your own writing and your own performing, they just were lost, like dead in the water. They had no idea what the hell was going on. It was very interesting, you know. So, anyways, I am the one who is certainly going to bat for music theory. I think it's a good thing to learn. If you don't know, as you're saying, you went to music school for guitar. Okay, there you go, Kevin. You are one of the above. Exactly. There you go. Of course. Hello, Kate Gray. Welcome in. Were you summoned by the Tunic soundtrack? I think perhaps. You can't escape it now. Let's see here. Whole tone scale match 3 game. Exactly. Yeah, well, see, Shigans, you laugh, but, you know, we have seen that before from... Yeah, it's not worth getting into details, but we've seen that, and it was crazy, of course. It's like, wow, this is wholly unnerving and real bad. Not good. So back to your real question, the question there, Valentin, just to backpedal a bit. I know we kind of skipped over it, but is it worthwhile applying? Like, it's kind of up to you. If you think that you can make it work with our hours, if you want to like move to Canada or something, then yeah, that's... For sure, go for it. Up to you. Up to you. Naturally. You know, some people have said, how about like after the 12 months? And yeah, the response there is that if this does, it's a little bit up in the air right now, to be absolutely honest, as far as whether it will turn into a fully salaried position, like a salaried full-time position. It's likely, but we're just not certain, so we want to just commit to it at this very moment, right? But if it did, then yeah, we'd probably want you to be like here in the area as opposed to across the water. That's the idea. Kate, you're just here to support your favorite Kevin. Oh, that's very kind. Thank you. Logan, how long do you think the job posting will be up? I don't know. I can say for certain. It's not that I'm like hiding it from you. I'm just not sure. I think probably like 2 to 4 weeks, somewhere in that range, ish. You know, I think probably a month would be a decent amount of time. But I mean, if someone rolls in and we're like, holy crap, yep, absolutely this person, then you know, so be it. It's hard to say. Bullinger, this whole talk got me hyped to apply. I hope you find a great fit. I hope so too. Thanks a lot. Yeah, we're trying. Certainly, there's a lot of talent out there. So it's I'll say that everyone out there is not making it easy on us. Put it that way. But I mean, that means everyone's like pretty hireable too. I won't say everyone, but there's many people who are quite hireable, and I am confident that if not with us, then those people who might just, you know, miss it by a nose, will probably land somewhere pretty quick. Okay, I think we can probably start to move on here. Oh, Brittany, as someone who has had 7 classes, 7, in music theory and getting my bachelor's, I can 1000% agree that it has served me well in the sound design realm. Totally, right? Thank you for you know, backing me up on that one. Appreciate that. Amnesia Sound, I love the approach Mario Odyssey did with the music and SFX. The way it gels with player action is so good. Yeah, I mean, there you go, right? It's just, you can move your sound design from being good to being like truly cohesive and great. That's kind of where you can, where the change is. I am confident someone with no music theory could make a game sound good, absolutely. But there are opportunities that might be missed because they just don't have that lens through which to see their own work. Isla, how you doing? Oh my goodness. She just flopped down so dramatically. Oh my goodness, you're so tired, I know. Ugh, why are you still talking? She's mad at me speaking so loud. Alright, so anything else I want to touch upon before moving on here? Musehive. Having music knowledge also gives you a broader sense of creativity in terms of music implementation. You could also collaborate with composers to create interesting orchestration for the music in different layers. I mean, this one, Tunic, holy, did I have a broad depth of like wide and deep conversations with Terrence regarding the structure of music in this game. In terms of not just like length, that's easy to say, no sweat, but in things like tonality and things like feel and things like internal structure and things like different layers that have to fade in somehow here and there, and things like melodic structure. There's a lot of things we discussed that I would have no hope of discussing with him if I didn't have that background. So yeah, it's just it certainly will help for certain kinds of games over others, but overall, I mean, it can't possibly hurt you. So why not work that muscle a bit. Matt, my diploma removed sound design from the course and instead was all music focused. So it wasn't my intention to learn music theory, but definitely helped with my sound design. There you go. So you learn by accident. Question from Kate. What's the saddest music in the game? Oh, is it Tunic? Probably, where is it, over here somewhere? I'm not sure what the track is. Not forget. The Siege. This is the wrong way? No, it's not that one. I'll admit I don't know all the names of all the tracks. Because all I know is like file names. I know what the file names sound like. This one. This one kills me. You're writing about sad games. I was wondering what your pick would be. Jeez, that's a good question. Saddest music. Well, what games have I cried at? I cried at Brothers, obviously. But that wasn't like... That soundtrack is beautiful. I don't think I cried from the music, though. There's a lot going on that made me fall apart. Also, To the Moon. Wrecked me. That was a rough one. Holy. I think To the Moon probably wins a little bit. I mean, yeah, I think that's the one. To the Moon OST. I can't find an easy link. This one? The one that has all the play, probably. This game's brutal. It's extremely good. For those of you who haven't played it, the gameplay is pretty thin.
Short steps.
Okay, I can't listen to this. We're not doing that right now. If you haven't played To the Moon, the gameplay is pretty thin. Or perhaps shallow is a better word. It's not very deep gameplay-wise, but the story is out of control. It is very, very good. Oldish game. All right. All right. You calling me out, Natasha? On my go-to being an old game? Maybe. All right. Well, anyways, back to real talk. So this is a very timely stream, seeing as we are, we do have a job open right now, a posting open. This is a show all about how to increase your chances of landing the gig you're looking for. That's the idea. There are no guarantees offered on this stream whatsoever, but we just treat it as a, well, how many pluses can you add to your application or to how you present yourself on the internet? And if you can add a lot more than the next person, you'll probably get the job. Stands to reason, right? If you put yourselves in the shoes of someone who is hiring, they are hiring because they are busy and they need help, right? And when you hire, there is an inherent risk there because you might hire the wrong person and make your life more difficult. We have definitely done that before. We have certainly worked with people that we, I mean, to be blunt, I mean, I ended up doing the work myself in one case, right? It's like, well, they handed everything in and it was, or they just didn't do it at all. That was one that happened. We hired someone to do some work. They did no work and apologized at the deadline. And I was like, all right, sweet. Well, I'll just do it myself then, I guess. And that was me staying up all night. So there's risks involved with this. And it's entirely possible the person hiring has experienced those risks before, so that they're acutely aware of that risk involved. So when there's a risk, you want to make it as clear as possible that you are the least risk, that you pose the least risk to their project, their sanity, all these things, right? And you do that by showing that you are the right person, that you are, I mean, all these criteria we're talking about, right? You present yourself clearly and effectively, and you are working on things that resemble the things that person, that team is working on. You're showing you have a passion for those things, an interest, etc. Your content looks the part. It sounds the part. It's at that, we always say, industry standard of awesome, right? That's the idea. And then the last one being is, are you standing out in some positive way? And that can be any way at all, right? Just you have a slick site. The more you stand out, I mean, if you're standing out at all, it means you put some work in. It means you put some time into your website, some time and thought. You've been cranking hard on your craft, so your reel sounds amazing. Maybe you did something real weird. You made a game on the side. You made a synth in Max MSP that was really unique. Whatever the case, you obviously have been putting this time in because you're serious. And the more serious you can just suggest to someone that you are, the more they're going to be like, oh, this person's probably safe, right? It's just, it's all completely logical. This is how I run my life, just through logic, right? So that's kind of where this all comes from. You just say what makes sense to a potential employer, what will make them say, okay, this seems like a safe choice. And then do all of those things. Do as many of those things as you can. And of course, it's just time. I mean, we've shown, get your shot glass out. We've shown Josh Adam Bell's page over and over. This remains probably the most effective page we've ever seen on the show. And he was hired a week after the stream, Like, this is not surprising. We looked at his stuff. It's like, yep, sounds good. You've been cranking, obviously. And then you just scroll down. It's like, okay, this person's obviously been working very hard. The current state of his site has things that are now credits, but before he was in the industry, they were all just things he'd done on his own time. Just personal projects and stuff, right? And when you see this person's done like 15 personal projects of some kind, whatever they are, regardless of depth, and they've done like write-ups and little videos and commentating and stuff, that stuff takes so much time. So just to see it, no one's watching all of them, but to see that all those things are there, it's like, oh, okay, this is probably safe, So all my respect to Josh. Big ups. Years ago we saw him on stream. He's like where is he now? Remedy, I think? He's doing it. Again, entirely unsurprising. Knows what he's doing. I'm going to leave that open for now. But, okay, so to be a little more detailed on these criteria, for those of you who might be joining us for the first time, this first one, presentation, we are looking at the website on the whole For Stephen and Joe, we have a website for each of them, which is excellent. Occasionally we have only a video. It's not as good. It can work, but it's not as good as having a full site. And, just things like general taste and navigation and like how much info is on the site, if there's enough or too much, if I can find things easily, if there are things to find. That's the idea, right? I'll have a glance at the bio. It's not really a web design stream, critique stream, but we do want to, we do want to just give a general sense of kind of what we're seeing here. And then for the reel, we look at, in terms of presentation, we're looking at the length of the thing. The minute is kind of the gold standard as far as I'm concerned. This show represents like the opinions of Power Up Audio, right? It's just our opinions. We've had on guest host, and many of them agree with where we're at. But naturally, you want to. I would not claim to be the word of God or the gospel on all this. Just take it with a grain of salt. But I love a minute. The 10x, up to minute 9, I'll accept is ideal. And we're looking at things like flow between the various clips. If the transitions seem mindful, it's awesome if it seems cinematic. And thing comes in from clip 1, and then thing explodes on clip 2. So cool. We love that. This shows you're obviously putting some time and thought into your work. That can only be a good thing. And as well, on the reel, things like the splash screen, the bookends, the front and the back, the titling on each clip, if it's staying in view, if it's got enough information or the correct information, there's typos, everything like that. The next thing being material selection, is looking at the pieces selected for the demo reel, for the portfolio, if there's a portfolio, and what those pieces might just suggest or imply to someone about what this person's aspirations are, what they want to do in the future, what they're good at now, and what kind of things they've worked on. And thirdly, content quality. Just, is it good? And if there's room to improve something, be it balance or panorama or frequency content or dynamics or dimension, whatever, then we'll certainly be happy to weigh in there. There's a lot of very talented folks in the chat too, I'm sure, who will be happy to offer their own opinions. And finally, just distinction. Are you standing out in some positive way? As there are a lot of people out there looking for work. We often hear from AAA companies that there are hundreds upon hundreds, even up to 1,000 people or more who apply for one role. So how the hell are you going to land that if you aren't standing out from the crowd in some way? Of course, right? And that doesn't even mean you need to be hired this time around. It could be you just stand out and maybe you just missed it barely. Someone just snaked it. You were the second choice or something like that. Barely missed it. On a technicality, who knows? But if you stood out and that person who is recruiting or that team, whatever, has a friend who says, hey, we need help with sound. Do you know somebody? They say, yeah, Steven's awesome. We almost hired him, It can happen. Again, it can't possibly hurt to stand out, even if you're not landing that gig on your first try. And in fact, I'll tell a brief anecdote here before we dive in. Some years ago, I made a game called Phonopath. It was a puzzle game based on audio files. I think some people here may have played it, but you can't play it anymore because it was made in Flash. But I made that game so I could apply to Valve with it, because Valve does weird stuff, and I was like, I'll do a weird thing, and we'll see how it pans out. And I didn't get that job. That was, I think it would have been like maybe January or February 2012 or so. I was notified I didn't get the job. And then I met someone who was on the hiring crew. I mean, it's like all the audio team there, basically. And I met them at GDC, and they were like, "Oh my God, you made Phonopath!" They knew like right away that I did this weird thing, and that blew my mind. This person knew who I was, because I like, it was my first time industry event of any kind. It was pretty crazy. And he said, "Listen, like 50% of people that got hired at Valve did not make it in their first try." So I would encourage you, if you get rejected from some team or don't make it in, whatever, to not let that deter you. Because the thing is, you might still be making a great impression. And that next time around, it might be like, oh, it's Kevin again, right? It's them. How have they been doing since? And they're like eager to see how you progressed since that last time you applied. Who knows, right? Who knows? And thank you for the kind words on Phonopath in the chat. Appreciate that. You mourn the fact to die with Flash. Yeah, he said royally. I'm looking at the possibility of having it ported now that Tunic's out, and I'm a little more, probably post-wedding. I'm already married, but we're doing a party for the friends and family end of June. So probably after that, my life will be a little more free and clear to do fun things like hire a team to help me out. But, because yeah, I feel like I think it holds up, despite being like a 10-year-old game. I think it holds up. So I'd like to get it out there again. That'd be great. But anyways, enough of me and my ramblings. Let's dive into, I think I saw Steven in the chat first. I can't recall. I did. Steven. So let's pause on Tunic. Sorry, Kate. We'll pause on Tunic and we'll go over to Steven C. Shapiro. So we're on StevenCShapiro.com, by the way, 150%. We have Real, which is where we are. About me, sound design, music for media. Is it vertical? It seems like it might be vertical. Is it? Click. It is vertical. Okay. Mixing, CV, and contact. Mixing and CV are less common. Okay. We'll see. Oftentimes the CV is like just add it as a link. Like, oh, it's right there. Download CV. I think this location is expectable, Steven. I don't think you need to have it like also. Oh, it's like its own link. Yeah, it still seems superfluous to me. I'm a big fan of just trimming the fat, just eliminating redundancies and stuff. Up to you. But basically every time I've looked for a resume or a CV, I just go to the about and it's right there. It's pretty common. Okay, let's read the about. I'm Steven. I'm a sound designer and musician. I guess sound designer first. We'll see. That's not very common. Oftentimes, whenever I see both, it's almost always composer first. I'm a composer and sound designer. Ever since I discovered my parents' cassette deck, I have been fascinated with with audio production, music, and their inextricable link. I have a wealth of experience in audio and music production, from recording and mixing to composing and performing. But I am now focusing on using all my skills and knowledge in game audio production. My experience has helped me develop an ear for detail and a passion for creative problem solving with others. I bet that music theory didn't hurt either. In 2021, I earned a master's degree in music technology focusing on game audio. Now I continue to learn more skills as I pursue my goals. I play drums professionally and guitar, bass, and piano for fun. Awesome. At home, I'm usually cooking, playing music, or researching gear. Cute. Cool. I like your bio. Very nice. Good length. Tells what we need to know, basically. Skills. Sound design, mixing, composition. Yeah, there's like a quick look for folks who don't read the whole thing, eh? I like your bowling, too. It's nice. Nice little additional help. Cool. All-time favorites. Hollow Knight. I guess you're not from the UK or from Canada. This favorites. No, oh, you are. Hollow Knight, Spider-Man, Uncharted 4, The Last of Us, Portal 2. This is an outlier, eh? Jeez. These games are mega AAA, and then Hollow Knight is in there. Cool. With, what's that team called? Team Cherry? Is that right? Team Cherry? Cool. Great. Unravel, Elden Ring, Paladins, Anthem, Pencilmation. Is that a left field? I guess it's something you did. Oh, it's a redesign. Quick Frame by MNTN. Okay, 30s ad, sure. And then some VFX thing. Cool. Music for media. Oh, adaptive. I fully expected to see just like a SoundCloud playlist here or something. Cool. Next up, oh, here's that playlist. There it is. Nailed it. Contact. Okay, send message and YouTube link, LinkedIn link. Have fun. All right. Well, I guess we can go ahead and watch the thing. I'll turn this up from 5% to full. 113. It's 4 seconds over. That's fine. I'm sure we'll survive the 4 seconds. We'll see. I'll turn my sidechain off as well. Out of respect to you, Steven. And let's go. Sick. Really fun. Good stuff, Steven. Some really good stuff in there. That Spider-Man clip. We've seen Spider-Man redesigned a bunch of times. A bunch. And the feedback is often like, ooh, dangerous redesign. Because everyone knows like the whip sounds and stuff, you know? But pretty strong, honestly. Pretty damn strong. Cool. First off, question in the chat someone asked, I think it was Joy asked? Yeah. Is it bad to include a SoundCloud/Bandcamp playlist? Absolutely not. I would say it's only bad if it's the only thing you include. That's the kicker there, right? Because if Steven had... Okay, let's be real extreme here for a second. So let's say Steven had the sounds present in this reel, but instead, in isolation, in a SoundCloud playlist. Which do you think is more effective for presentation? You know, it's a pretty no-brainer. But we've absolutely seen SoundCloud playlists of here's a sound I designed, right? Even Power Up's guilty of that. Our first year, although we also just hadn't really. I won't defend it. We had like a few reels, and they were all audio only. We had a music reel, an SFX reel, and a VO reel. I think the VO reel stands up. It's kind of like an audio vignette thing, but the SFX one is just dumb. It's just like sound effects for a minute or two or something. It's a lot of sound effects. So not super useful in terms of seeing things like, well, what is your aptitude for like your gaming sensibilities, or your aptitude for like what fits where? If we just hear a sound and it's like a big swooshing sword swing, like great, sounds cool sword, but we have no idea if the thing you designed that for actually matches or not, right? So having this is obviously better. The reason I'm cool with the playlist here is because we have all this other stuff out front. It's like, look at this awesome stuff. There's like 10 things. And by the way, also some music I wrote. It's like, oh, that's a nice little bonus after all that stuff, right? Some mixing stuff, some music you wrote, whatever that SoundCloud playlist might be. It's fine to have it there because it's just that. It's just supplemental, right? So let's go through this again. Pretty sick, Steven. Nice work. Let's go full volume and again with sidechain on. All right. Is that note C? Is it? Tell me now. Yeah, it is. Wonderful. It's a middle C. Oh my God. Very nice. I appreciate that. Very nice. So I'll be honest, the very first thing I thought, by the way, lengthwise, was fine because your stuff was good. If it wasn't good, then the additional 4 seconds could be painful, potentially. But it kept me engaged for sure. So no sweat. Okay, presentation-wise first. I was about to talk about content stuff. I'll back off that for a second. So presentation, cool intro, awesome sound design. And again, it's having like the musical aspect on your sound design thing. It's like, it's good. Well-rounded individual, you know? Okay, Rogue Company, first watch games, redesign. Is the whole thing widescreen? I guess so, huh? No, not quite. This part's full screen. Yeah, I still think this can be higher up. Not the worst thing in the world. Your call. It's just a different style, you know? I'm a stickler for like having the classic lower third to make sure it doesn't interfere with like UI stuff, but not a big deal. Up to you. What is there is readable and is tasteful, so no big. Okay, so and the ending is that's cool too. The cut of black and impact. Nice. Tasteful. .com. All right. We'll fade, and then the transitions are fade in. This transition is here-ish. Okay, so I will say one thing. 30 seconds, basically half of your reel is one clip. And I think that might be a little bold. This is a nitpicky thing because, again, your work is pretty strong. But I began to worry, I'll put it this way, I began to worry that your whole reel was this clip. That was like just one long clip. You know, we've seen that. So, yeah, it would have been nice to have it maybe a little more evenly spaced as far as taking us on a little journey here. Again, it's nitpicky, but I've found that I did have a small feeling around here, like, oh, it's still this clip. Jeez, we're like 25 seconds in. So that all that is, it's like this little tiny voice in the back of my head being like, hey, it's the same clip still, as opposed to just all of me being immersed in the thing you made. Does that make sense? So again, not the end of the world, just maybe something I figured I'd mention. Second clip. So the transition though is just whatever, hard cut. It goes city to city to city, so it's fine for transition, but it just isn't really mindful. Not a big deal, but same thing. It's all action packed, and the points you cut to are good because it pulls us like right into the action right away, but just not very. Yeah, it just doesn't come across as like mindful. Like, oh, here's again classic projectile flying in and like cut to a different game's explosion, right? Just have that continuity. There isn't really continuity here, despite being still engaging. Here, same thing. You know, your soundscape is broadband and keeps going, so it isn't like a start-stop to it. But I think that would be like a next level kind of thing. That would elevate this significantly if it was a full cinematic, like constructed thing. But it's challenging to take things you've just done and then arrange them in that way if the things you've done don't accommodate for that very fluidly. You know, if you think of, okay, I want to do some redesigns and it's going to be this one, I'll have the thing flying in, like the plane is going to the ground and we have an explosion from Cyberpunk or something like that. Instead, you have you think of these transitions ahead of time and then design them. And like, oh man, it is incredible how much more it's elevated, but it's a lot more work, you know, certainly. So just I recognize that. For what this is, for what's here, it's good. I was certainly happy to watch the whole thing through. Okay, and let's talk about. I'll read your stuff here, Steven. Rogue Company was a cropped cinematic. Oh, right, sure, the black bars naturally. It complicated titles. Does it really? If you have like the classic, you know, it's Fee Sherman here, just black background, gradient, fade to halfway through, or like after 5 seconds or 10 seconds, I think it'd be fine. I don't think anyone would be like, oh, that's weird, black bars and the lower third. It'd be fine, I'm sure. Okay, and then the original cut was much more continuous. But you got some feedback. The clips weren't in the right order of strength. Oh, interesting. Oh, that's unfortunate. Okay, well, let's move into... I mean, material selections can be fast. You're obviously looking for a AAA thing. Obviously. It's a little bit unfortunate. There's no... Like, they're all just linear redesigns, you know? They're strong, but they're all in the same category, you know? And... if we, yeah, why is this mentioned here? And as is Unity. But is it demonstrated at all? Power Up, this looks like, these all look like they're all linear redesigns. And then, oh, Unravel is here, but it's not in the main reel. What's this? Yeah, I think that's weaker than most of the things you put in there otherwise. But maybe because it's also not quite so bombastic. Like the things you chose are really big and energetic and like action-packed. And Unravel is a little bit more of a subtle game. I mean, it's yarn. It's like a string character, right? So it's not quite the same thing as lightsabers. But interesting, it's here. And Elden Ring as well is not included. Oh, this is like the the aftertouch thing, right? Is it? I keep seeing this clip being redesigned. This one and like the. I'm sure you all know what I'm talking about with those sounds. The sounds I just made with my face. Yeah, I'd love to see some implementation things. I guess this is adaptive. Do you talk through this?
Hi, I'm Steven.
Oh, it's still Uncharted though.
I'm going to show you my original music for a 3D adventure game based on a scene from one of my favorites, Uncharted 4.
Is it actually adaptive? Are you like modeling adaptive?
After I finished writing the music, I exported the tracks to Pro Tools for mixing.
Okay. Sorry, I can just ask you, Steven, but I'm clicking through to try and find the answer.
So the results, she wants them yesterday.
I'm emulating what people would maybe do, perhaps. It's model adaptive. Okay, yeah. So right now, I think the biggest dearth in your work is that you claim wise and unity, but you don't demonstrate that. And so my question after watching this, being like, oh, it's pretty good. See, my immediate inclination after watching this reel, Steven, is a good one. It's, oh, I want to know more. I want to learn more about Steven, right? And as of right now, I learned a little. I'd probably go to the bio next, get a gist. And I know you don't claim to like implement stuff, and you're trying to like learn more about things, but I think that would be a good next move. Is it's not that you are not. It's not the issue here. Again, thinking about pluses and who you're up against, right? The issue is not that you are not good enough for the role. The issue is that someone else might just look better. Does that make sense? Because if you imagine somebody else who has a reel identical to yours, but they remove the back 15 seconds of the first clip of Road Company and shift everything over and put the last clip as like their personal Wise plus Unreal 5 project or something. Like that's going to be the plus they have that you don't have. And it does not mean you aren't a good candidate. It means they might just look like a better one. They may appear safer again. And not even from an angle of oh, they have skills that we need and we don't need to teach them. What it says is, because the thing is, people don't, if you're being hired for a junior role, there's an expectation there that they will be teaching you things. It's going to happen. Or they'll be helping to further hone your skills. What it says is that you are self-driven enough to learn and also have the capacity for learning this on your own, and that's a big thing. It says you can self-teach and you can you can hone your skills on your own without someone else holding your hand the whole way, right? Which means that when there isn't someone doing hand holding, it's going to be way faster and way easier. So, yeah, that's a big one for material selection. For content quality, though, I want to say the very first thing I thought, apart from your splash, is that the sword sounded real big and heavy compared to what it actually was. It's like a slow motion thing, I think. Maybe there's that, but the weapons later in the clip sounded more accurate to what I'm seeing, but that just felt. I was like, okay, we'll see, because it made me think in my head that this is going to be the whole thing might be loose in terms of how weight and size are matched to audio versus visuals, but real small nitpick, real small. It's just, it maybe is an important nitpick because it's the first thing that we're seeing, Yeah, I don't know that you need this intro, honestly. If I'm being honest, this intro isn't really doing much for me. It's kind of on the music side-ish. It's like cinematic sound design, I guess. But those two things are, it's like fine, but it's not really earning you as many points as some other things in this clip are earning you. So I think you could probably start the clip here. It's just be aware that yes, that pew was nice in there. Nice little layer. Very nice. Yeah, I think you just cut this intro off. That's what I think. The yeah, it's like it's pretty good across the board. I don't know. I don't think it's your strongest piece. I think they're all like pretty strong, with some weird bits here and there. Like the Foley is kind of generalized here. I'll go back a little more. That's great. Cool car slide. This landing. That landing did not sound like what this thing looks like to me. It sounds a bit like a metal bin or something, like a trash can. Close your eyes. Dong. There's a lot of stuff on the ground. You know, there's broken glass and debris and rock. It's very gritty, we can assume. And your footsteps sound gritty, you know, but then this impact is like really clean. It sounds like it was recorded in a booth and then like dropped onto the timeline, you know? It's like dung dung dung. It's really it's like this sound that is presented in isolation from its environment. Yeah, and like the drop and stuff, this Foley, you can have a little more there of the letting go. There's a for the movement, but you can dig into those details a bit more yet. This here, there's a bit of storytelling here that I definitely missed on my first, second, third, and fourth watch, and it's that he seems to pull a pin from a grenade or something behind his back and then throw it, right? It explodes there. So I missed that entirely. I didn't know that explosion was his doing the first, again, first, second, third, fourth, and fourth watch. I finally realized, it's like I'm watching that clip over and over again. So this right here, behind the back, and then that pull, you could probably be a little more, you could take some liberties with how loud that should be or what it sounds like, just to help prime that next part of the story, the throw and explosion, because we're not seeing it, right? Like it's a hidden from view part of the story. So now that's our time to shine. We have to drop in there and be like, oh, okay, well, we'll help tell that part of the story, right? So that pull it's like barely, it's a little click kind of. Yeah, it's real hard to hear. It's there, but that's the kind of thing that you can definitely call out as a sound designer. To be like, oh, and now throw. You have all that stuff. Just the very first part of the story we're missing. Like, where'd that come from? You know? Yeah, this impact here was kind of similar to the metal bin thing. I don't think that sounds like a gun to me. It's a bit pong. It's a little bit resonant and maybe hollow. It's more gritty and like kind of clacky, which makes sense. But it's the body of it feels like it's not quite gunnish. And this here. Yeah, on the slices, you can kind of, on this too, pull a little more, again, take some liberties and help sell the idea that this was a sliced gun. Chung! Have a little more, have that piece that got sliced off, have that heard as it pings away on the ground, you know? Because that could easily have been, if you close your eyes and watch and listen to that, you know, we're not getting from the sound alone that something was sliced off and now it's, you know, skittering away on the pavement. I think there's more room to tell that to go into that detail in that storyline. Again, a lot of these notes, Stephen, are just like you can probably self-assess by closing your eyes on each clip and thinking, can I tell what actually happened there? Or asking a friend to like listen to it and don't show them the video. Like, what do you hear? What do you think happened here? You know, goes a long way. And the last thing I'll say on this clip is that it's a small, maybe, I don't know, maybe this is out of line, but the car alarm, it's from this car, right? But like, This car does not look to me like it's in any state to be alarming. You know, it's it just looks like it's off. So that of the alarm, I was like, I almost expected to see the lights like doing this when the camera came out, but I do applaud your effort to inject more audio into the story, though. It's cool. And I guess the second thing I was thinking about that is that if this first throw didn't set off the car alarm, like, why did the sword in like the door, set off the car alarm? The alarm cue's in the original? Really? That's crazy to me. Does it start there too? All right, my bad. Again, one man's opinion, right? That surprises me to be a car alarm at that point in time. That's funny. All right, this clip's fun, man. I love this combat. Really fun. I want to call out or shout out your differentiation of frequency content in ongoing combat impacts versus finishing impacts. This first splashy one, I was like, I don't know if you saw me, but I was like, eyebrows went up. It's nice. Really nice. That too. I think your use of high frequencies is pretty cool. This is Steven C. Shapiro. Frajamang. Frajamangi. I don't know how you say your name. I apologize. This here, I was gonna say, whoosh, the focus bar full. That being nice and wide is great. Good choice. You've got like, that is a call out, for the player. That's a call out for sure. And having it A, high frequency means it can punch through the mix, and B, nice and wide means that the action in front of you is not going to stomp on the thing you're hearing as a call out. So good choice, Steven. Well done. And also, I heard a thing recently. Was it in the tunic redesigns from last time? I can't recall. It was something like that. We talked about the idea of base dives, of divey things. If you're doing that, to also fill out some higher register stuff, and that was done here. Right, we have but there also is sub bass down there, but we can't have only sub bass because then on systems that can't produce sub frequencies, it's going to sound silent. That's a problem. So this covers all bases here. It's nice. And lightsabers are always a bold thing to redesign. Oh man, because everyone knows what lightsabers sound like, right? It isn't really much of a blank canvas for you. There's a real clear expectation of what that should sound like. It's not bad, honestly. Yeah. I think you could probably have a little more. I mean, like, I'm not gonna. I wouldn't dare redesign lightsabers is the thing, right? So for me to like criticize your lightsabers, I feel like a fraud. But I think the one thing is that you might be able to think about dynamics with a little more nuance, like the movement, vroom, vroom, that vroom, 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 all that stuff. It happens like on movement, right? That's when you hear that. It goes vroom, vroom, up and down, and there's a lot of movement there, like and then running and like moving to the front of the body from the side, and it's a little bit generalized, right? It's kind of on. Like having a little more on the movement there. Again, it's nuance, But that would be my inclination. Again, coming in as a guy who would not dare redesign Star Wars. Nice impacts though, feels good. Again, your high frequencies are great. That's one thing that's often not there for those, for those sound folks who are up and coming, is they'll kind of leave those, like we call them like presence, like the really high stuff up there. That high frequency stuff is just neglected oftentimes. And there's a lot of stuff in here, both with that focus bar ready thing that was really nice here. This impact, the psh, here, like that, it's great. And here as well, that there is like, that's gonna be heard. And that is really like AAA games like this, with big impactful moments and stuff. Like they want to fill out the frequencies, and having that stuff up there can really add a lot of energy to your mix. So that's a great choice, Steven. Good stuff. Yeah, just it's a careful dance though, because it's also the frequencies that can get abrasive and jarring and fatiguing very quickly if you're not careful. So I would you're right on the edge. Like if I was designing this, I might pull back the steady part, because it's steady. An impact, it gets out of the way, and your ears can take it, and it's fine, it's exciting. But if it's like electricity ongoing, and it's like it's forever, that's, of course it didn't go forever, but just as an arbitrary example, you wouldn't want to have that. The longer it goes, the more dangerous it is to kind of keep those frequencies up there. So, and furthermore, it's, in terms of, again, telling the story, there may be an opportunity for division between an impactful moment and like the follow-up, or like thing A and thing B, regardless of what those things are. So this first impact being right, and then the follow-up, maybe there's room for like a slightly different frequency range, like versus you hear the difference? Those two things are like, it's a bit different, and it just helps tell the story that these are slightly different things going on, right? And also doesn't risk being abrasive and jarring to the ear, so, or fatiguing. Cool push. That felt good. Really nice. Bye, Kate. Have a good time. Hope it's sunny. Fun. Not bad. I'll move on though, without giving any feedback on bear voices. Cool, Steven. Nice work on the whole. I think you have a pretty clear idea of what your next steps might be. You're saying that implementation is a bit of a void in your work right now, and it absolutely is. But damn, man, nice foundation. Really good. I think this is I think that some studios would see this and be like, yeah, awesome. And they might think, it might even be like a, hey, call us when you have your Wise demo up kind of thing, right? Or they might just hire you. I don't know. This is a pretty damn good reel. So, well done, my friends. Distinction-wise, yeah, you're totally sending out. It's just strong work. It's a good job. We're nitpicking on details and stuff, storytelling. It's small stuff, mistakes that I make, and I have to look at my work again sometimes, right? So easy. Let's move on to Joe. Joe Bretz. I didn't know your last name, Joe, until like an hour ago. All right. Joe is non-binary, uses they, them, theirs exclusively, and prefer not to be addressed with gender terms. Guys, dudes, etc. Got it. I love dogs, especially hounds and retrievers. Well, I got one right here. She's snoring. She is snoring. Outside of video games, my hobbies include chiptune, baking, and watching drum corps performances. I would have liked to hear a little more about what's going on the audio side of things as far as the bio goes, Joe. But these things are valuable, but I think this is the kind of thing, kind of like in Steven's bio, not to compare against Steven, but Steven's bio has this in the last sentence, cooking, playing music, right? Like that's kind of that often is the format. Like the last sentence is this cool additional stuff that might lead to a conversation at some point in the future during an interview or whatever. But I think that given how how trim your site is. I think it's probably worth putting a little more about like what your deal is audio wise and what your background is. Because again, you don't want to be in the position of, well, your reel was awesome and now they want to learn more and they can't learn more. It's such a missed opportunity because they have like so many reels to go through and resumes and sites. And then they're looking at Joe's and it's like, oh, I wish I could know more about them, but they just don't have it. So certainly worthwhile. Reverb in the Void. All right. By the way, Reverb in the Void is, of course, a long time viewer of Real Talk. Very long time. I saw a tweet. Apparently, they were at our GDC talk in 2018. Myself and Matthew Martinson, the talk that is linked in this application that says, "Hey, here's your cheat sheet. Make your reel exactly like this. Here's the mistakes you're making." And we're still seeing those mistakes in these applications. So people are not watching this thing. It's too bad. Oh, well. Oh, well. Okay. Well, Joe, your page is pretty trim. Like I was saying, we have an itch page, which is not very common. Awesome. Freelance composer, sound designer for games. Oh, here's some things. So these are things you worked on, I guess. Dangerous. This might be missed if they're looking at your page. It's possible. But we'll see. Didn't even see these at first. Yeah, they're kind of like the stars, hey? Like the little specks. A little bit. They might blend in. They're hiding in the corner. Let's watch a thing, though. It's a minute long. Let's go. I'm going to make sure my sidechain is off. And turned up. We are. And let's go. All right, thank you, Joe. Oh. I was like, behind me just now. You getting tired of this show? Yeah. Same as always, she says. Same damn pins every damn week. Okay, thanks, Joe. Let's talk about this a hair, shall we? Here we go. Press play. And that's the intro. That's it. Sound design, demo reel, Reverb in the Void. We get right into it. All right. First thing is Hyperlight Drifter, Heart Machine. Sound redesign. Classic lower third. Looks good. Looks branded to your site. Cool. Appreciate that. Looks like it belongs. Jumbo Shrimpin'. Various things. Okay, as far as flow goes, a minute long. I was happy to watch the whole thing. There were some lulls, definitely, and some points where I may have lost attention a little bit. Just drifted, just based on the thing perhaps not holding my attention as effectively as it could. But knowing it's a minute long, I was still happy to watch it, which goes to show you a lot. This should be shorter. I'm willing to watch the whole thing, even if it's perhaps not like this rip-roaring thrill ride like some reels are. So let's go through, though. I'm watch one more time, a bit lower volume, and let's press play, sidechain on. So this opening clip, sure, this says to me right away that you're looking to do freelance stuff because, Hyperlight. It's pretty short, 10 seconds. Into Outer Wilds, sound redesign. It's been pretty solid audio thus far. And then into the next clip. It goes a little quieter on like the main sounds. Not too bad. It's a little less action. That's fine. But here, it drops off entirely. I'll go full volume, right? You know, it's I understand why, but realize it is maybe a bold or risky decision. Because given this is a sound reel, we'll say we have 60 seconds, you know, during which to impress somebody and say, "Hey, we're the person for you," right? This is we're the right choice, whatever that might be, whatever the role might be. The challenge there, I guess, what I encourage you to do is to use every second as efficiently as you can, right? This is kind of does this second need to be here? We have, it's like 2 seconds there, which isn't much. Like 2 seconds is a small amount of time, but it's 2 seconds of dead air. You know, it's kind of like when you have nonstop sound, and then suddenly it's like nothing. It's like a whoa, and it might not be, a death sentence, but I just see it as a missed opportunity that this could have been sound here instead, right? And it might be, this is in development, I see. Is there room for maybe like ambience of some kind? Just to keep a little more going, like some room ambience or some whatever might make sense. It's, I'm not sure. It's hard to say, but this is definitely a pretty empty sounding clip compared to the others. And again, I realize it's in development, so you want to show the thing you're working on. But yeah, it definitely feels pretty empty compared to the other clips there. Just be aware of that. There might be room to find a way to fill it in a little bit more. Yeah. But anyways, this seems pretty. I'm doing freelancey indie-ish things. Correct? Is that what you want to do, Joe? Some freelance stuff? Of course you do. It's right here. It says freelance. Composer, sound designer, they, them. Yeah. So, there's like subscribe and shriek. Interactive fiction. The mysterious case of the Wind View monster. Okay. That one's not in there either. Pastel Simon. It's time. Them all. Or them all. Not sure. Perhaps it's a play on something. Adventure. So these aren't in there. None of these are in there. Oh, this one is. This is in there. But the others are not. Curious. Only able to jump in for a sec. Have to go to work now, but hope the stream's good. Yeah, we're having a good time. I'm having a good time. I can't speak for our 60 viewers. But I appreciate y'all being here. Having a decent time here. Let's get back over here, though. So, yeah, perhaps, Joe, you could weigh in and say why it might be that you're not including all of your work. So we don't have time to play all these things, but I'm just curious. Let's go back in, though, and talk about some design things. So this first one... Oh, hello? So that right there... felt pretty wide for that attack. And it's... just be aware that it is wide, because that might be a stylistic, interesting choice for this purpose. It's possible. But just be aware that there's a risk incurred there because of what we were talking about with the Spider-Man clip. If you have all the combat, it's kind of in front of you, or it's in like very specific locations, and then focus bar ready or whatever, and it goes super wide, that super wide sound has a high likelihood of being heard. This here has the same likelihood. It's very likely going to be heard. Like, it's going to be heard for sure. But now it's up to you to say, well, do we want that to always be heard every single time? Because it's possible there are things happening elsewhere. Other enemies calling out, they're going to start attacking you right away. And if that sound is covering up those sounds, then that may lead to player frustration. If they feel like they're not getting the information that they deserve from the game. So for wide broadband sounds like that, just be aware that, yeah, you got to be aware of like what else is happening in the game or in the scene, and make sure that you're leaving space for that, especially if it's the kind of thing that is delivering information to the player. Okay. It's kind of a cool, like, lo-fi aesthetic, though. It's a bit different than the main game. Like, than the game proper, I mean. There's like some... What is that? Footsteps? Yeah, it's footsteps. Cool. I assume it's this guy's footsteps, right? I think so. It feels like there's some noise in there. Like something is dirtying it up. It's tricky because like when you're going lo-fi, you know, you're choosing to have kind of a grittier style, right? It's a little bit edgier. There's like harder staircasing in the bit depth and stuff. So it's gonna happen. But like that right there is also pretty wide. Same thing. We have like there's a bit of a crackle in the left channel at the end of the bark. Right, you hear that? So again, being wide, if you have a bunch of crystal wolves in the scene, then it becomes less clear where that wolf is, or it just risks muddying up the locations of other things. So that's my main thought here. This is a linear redesign. So you have control over where these sounds are placed in the panorama. You can summon things to mono, you can kill off one of the channels, whatever, and make sure they're mono. Occasionally, yeah, it makes sense to have a stereo sound that has like a narrower stereo field, and then you can kind of like pan around that stereo field in the scene so that you still have a bit of richness in that space, but it exists within a larger panorama. That can be the move. But in the case of like a crystal wolf bark, I don't think that's like, you know, deafening or magic or like large enough to warrant being a stereo sound. And the way you've designed it is not really selling to me like, oh, it's because it's like a large yelling deafening bark and it's like echoing off the canyon walls or whatever, right? It's more like it feels like it might just be a mistake or an oversight. So I think if you, with this aesthetic style you've chosen, I think that the demands increase a bit to try to make sure things are not muddying the waters, so to speak. So having things that are mono actually, or things that are point source actually mono, so they come from there specifically and don't add in more noise elsewhere. It's not unlike doing, you know, EQ cleanup on a mix, like some rock track or something. You're just trying to find things that, in the various elements, you find the things that don't need to be there. Perhaps these electric guitars don't need the bass frequencies because the bass guitar has that covered. You just kill off the bass. It might sound weird by itself, but in the full mix, it makes sense. And as a whole, if you go through all your layers, all your instruments, and do some EQ, some subtractive EQ and everything to pull out stuff that doesn't need to be there, it's kind of the same thing as this. You can do cleanup EQ on work. You can do, you know, panorama, like summing to mono stuff. You can do all kinds of things. And the idea is that you're left with only what's important. And on the whole, you'll just have a mix that has more clarity. And it won't be the kind of thing that players will tweet at you and be like, yo, sweet job summing your crystal wolf bark to mono. Like, no one's going to say that. But on the whole, they'll just have a clearer mix and they'll be getting information more effectively and like more streamlined because they won't have to fight to hear it. There's a lot of reasons that it's the move. So that's the main thing I'm hearing here. And with this style, again, with this aesthetic of being 8-bit, those little noisy bits tend to call out a bit more than they might if it was like a hi-fi kind of aesthetic instead. So it's a larger consideration, I think. Yeah. Like even there on this bark and the kind of skid, there's a high pitch, like not the high pitch. It's like a single tone something. It almost feels like it's like noise on a synth or something. It doesn't feel like it's intentional. I don't know. Or maybe it's on the impact. It got hit there too. Second note is on this hit. It feels like, was that the hit sound? It's real quiet if it is, but that you hear that? That's a perfect example of something that I think is maybe extraneous, like it's superfluous to our needs in this clip, and It's just more sound that is distracting from the sound the player might want to hear more so. So like that kind of impact here, this impact's so important to hear, Joe. On the player, like to know you were hit, that's so important. And it's just not really there, like some high pitch, like something like that, something to punch to the mix and let the player know they were hit. It's yeah, it's pretty, because look at that, lost a health point, right? And we hear it for the wolf. That was great. That EQ focus in the mix, no one's missing that. That'll be heard every single time. That like that high pitch thing. Awesome. Yeah. So this clip, I think the first time watching through, I thought was stronger. I think because of the frequency, it's more broadband. There's more kind of overall. It doesn't really have ambience, really, right? Like it's kind of like it's kind of there, but again, the aesthetic means it's not really that prevalent. So with this though, feels a little more like a complete mix. I will say that the ambience is a bit centered, right? It's like a distant kind of two creatures making noises, and they're right in the center. So maybe they just are both over there in front of us as possible. But that was one thing ambience-wise. I think you could widen up a little more panorama-wise. I think you can use the full canvas a little more mindfully, yeah? And design-wise in this little lift, I think that's it's probably a bit simple compared to the visual fidelity of everything. It's it is a bit like, it's a bit low poly-ish. It's not photorealistic at all, but there is some detail here, right? We have like the ropes holding stuff down. We have like the kind of fasteners on the wood. We've got some bolts, right? We can see even some twigs on the branches. It's not like it's a single branch low poly. There definitely is some fidelity here, and it's probably worth it to, I mean, elsewhere you have that. You have footsteps and stuff. We're hearing that like with the wood. We're hearing some Foley. There is some element of nuance there. And there's probably more space for some more frequency content here, some more detail and nuance in the rise. Because it's a bit simplistic right now. Like there's like a ding. I assume to mean like, yeah, lift is on, and then whoop. It's kind of it's like one brushstroke, as opposed to a painting. We have that whoop, and that probably is a great layer to have in there in the final, like in a final like shipping quality sound effect. But as it stands now, that ding by itself, it's pretty. It's probably primitive compared to how much more detail you can work in there. The rising helps tell that journey, like going up. That's excellent. It could have been, which would have been worse, definitely. So that helps tell that story. I love that. I'm a big sucker for like rising pitches and falling pitches. And that to finish it off is good too. Helps kind of bookend the story of going up that lift. But the movement could have a little more like just something else frequency wise to kind of just to make it a bit less like simple synth, because the more simple synth you pull into stuff, and it seems like you're pretty well versed in like simple synth sounds like sine waves and sawtooths, etc. The more you move towards that side of things, to being like it's a 3-os. We have, like I was playing earlier in FL, right? We have our 3-os right here, and I'm gonna bring a new one in so we have it fresh. If we kill off the other two oscillators, we have this. There's our single sine wave, right? Or of it. Like if we have that, these sounds exist basically nowhere in the world unless it's being produced by some kind of speaker or some kind of device, right? Machine. And so to hear it in the wild, so to speak, it is often, there's like a disconnect between what we're seeing or what the player might expect to hear versus what they are hearing. Because that kind of very simple sound it's almost too clean for what the world looks like. This lift here, we're seeing this movement. This is not like perfectly, shaped circles. There's some particles. There's some like wavering in this thing. you can kind of latch on to stuff like that to think, oh, we'll have this simple sound. How else can I kind of further modify that to kind of match what's going on visually? Because that's our job. Right? We're here to like support the story, what the player is doing and seeing. So there's probably more room to kind of further modify that synth stuff just to be a little more in line with visuals. So that's the main thing that called out to me in this clip. I'll watch a little more though. Yes, I mean, listen to that like, there's so much evolution in that sound, right? That's great. That has that start, right? There's all that stuff in there. You have a lot more evolution. Imagine if it was like, right? It wouldn't sound correct at all. So, anyways, that's basically like a peak EQ, just like being dragged back and forth on the EQ. Right? Totally works. Yeah, cool. Yeah, this one here, I think you'd have a little more detail too on the start and stops and stuff. It's a game jam though, so I'm not going to tear you apart for this one. I mean, it's a game jam game. So you're faced with time limits and stuff. So it's hard for me to be like, oh, we should have done this differently, because of course time is a massive factor. One thing though, this sound here is the fish landing or something, or I'm not sure what that sound is. But that sound there is pretty loud and also high frequency. So being high frequency sounds, they cut through the mix really easily and they're easily heard by the human ear. So be very careful of how loud your high freak stuff is this here. It's pretty loud. Puddle slip, okay. Cute, all right. And you know my thoughts on this clip? For what's here, like, cool, you know? Just, it's not, it's just too bad there's all this silent space in between. Yeah, it's just, this isn't doing a whole lot for you, honestly. This clip, it's cool, it's showing things you're working on. But as far as like being a showcase of your sound design ability, I think you could probably choose some stronger pieces and perhaps point to this, or have it, you know, have a, again, pull in some ambience into this piece to make it a little more sound design full. But it's unfortunately in its current state, it's I don't think it's the strongest choice you could use to end off your reel, especially because we have like these cool sounds. We have Outer Wilds, nice strong finish. We have this cool game jam thing you did. It's got a nice look to it, and some cool little like aesthetic sounds you made for this thing. And then you have this like just silence, right? So just we have this like strong like, and our attention is kept, and then it's like, okay, it drops off entirely. So it's, yeah, just dangerous. Be aware. Okay. So 1:35 p.m. How'd this happen? I got talking too much. I apologize. I'm keeping people here. So I do appreciate y'all being here, though. Thank you. In terms of distinction, I don't think you're standing out quite yet, Joe, just simply due to your site being pretty trim, right? Oh, what's happening there? Crazy. There's not a whole lot here yet, right? So in terms of things to show, there's certainly more you could be showing. By the way, shout out to Patrick's Parabox. Pretty cool. Good game. And that's the main thing. I think that people want to learn more about you. And there's probably room just in terms of the reel to keep attention kind of like peaked as much as you can throughout the whole thing, yeah? But if you have any more questions or thoughts, of course, you know where to find me. Happy to chat if I can, yeah? Thanks a lot. Thank you, Joe. All right, back to Tunic, yes? Oh, yeah. All right. Yes, thank you very much, Joe. And I want to say as well, we had a cancellation this week, and Joe rolled in and was kind enough to offer their reel up for consideration today. So appreciate doing that on a very short turnaround. Very nice. Okay, so again, if you weren't here earlier in the stream, we are hiring right now. Power Up Audio is hiring, and we do not require game experience, or should I say, industry experience. We do expect you to know what game audio is, ish, at least ish. And I would encourage you to check out this GDC talk as well. It is a kind of comprehensive overview of many of the things that we've talked about on this stream. It's a lot of common pitfalls and things to avoid. And certainly watch it if you're planning on submitting to us, because it is a cheat sheet. This is specifically what we're looking for. So please watch it. Please. All right. Okay. So I'm just catching up in the chat a little bit before I go. Thanks, Kevin, says John. Oh, cheers, of course. Have fun combing through those portfolios. Yeah, it's always a good time. I love this. I mean, inevitably, we're learning about people that we didn't know existed before, right? So, of course, it's great to see. I love seeing what people are working on, as always. Tim Wizard, thank you. This is very great. Hey, cheers. Hope you learned something. Again, not at all the gospel over here, but happy to offer my own opinions, right? Rad's a good word. How many do you have so far? I will maybe hold that information close to the chest for the time being. Perhaps we'll share that when we finish the full process, but I'll hold off on talking about applicants or numbers of or et cetera, until we are through with the process. Yeah? Thanks for understanding there. Morphball, always learn something new here. Thanks for submissions. Hey, thanks, Joe and Steven. Nice work to you both. Appreciate it. I guess we'll end off there. I'll pick a cool track. The Air. Oh, yeah, it's a good one. Crank it up. Cranking it. And I'll be out of here. Oh, I'll link this in the chat, though. There we go. Crank too far. All right. Thanks, all. We'll see you in 2 weeks, yeah? Thanks a lot.